I
What
think
debate now?
Milinkovic is good.
I don't know.
But
My favorite moment from Murillo was that time he did that thing against that guy in that one game. It was great.
That was really
I
good.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I
Really
liked that as well.
For the highlight reel.
hey, welcome back everyone. It's another Watch More Football, and this time we're having a sort of season review. It's a kind of final show of this particular Premier League season. I'm Cam, we've got producer Kelly, and as always I've got Ryan, and guess who else is back this week? It's
Hey,
Dave.
David.
Dave. How's fatherhood?
everybody.
Dave? How's fatherhood?
Sadly, we couldn't get Mick, but
Tiring.
we'll cover that in a second.
Yeah.
Tiring. That
Tiring.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
That makes
sometimes
sense.
you think you're just too old to be a parent, but you just get on with it, don't you?
Yeah.
I think that probably even happens to young parents as well, is my guess, and they just
Can
it
confirm.
basically
Ryan,
ages you itself.
Can-
So
Can confirm.
Ryan is actually the youngest, would you believe? Yeah. I know, shocking.
I know you wouldn't believe that looking at my youthful exterior. I know, but that's just the way it goes.
You're looking good for 50 anyway, Cam. You're right.
hey. Anyway, guys, you are watching us on Genreverse Sports, and while you're on there, we are like sister in, like it's a family with the Genreverse podcast
Multi-pod
network,
ownership.
which is, and on there it's a much bigger channel. This one's only got a few followers. It's only got our show on it at the moment because we're just kind of starting that off. But our main Genreverse has got loads of shows on there, especially if you're into anime. Lots of stuff on there covered by our producer Kel and all his crew. There's reactions, there's all that sort of stuff on there, and there's some non-anime things as well. A few things on there, some reviews like Andor, Wheel of Time, sadly cancelled now, but season 3 you can see a review of that one there as well. Some other stuff if you go looking. You'll also find written content on our main website, which is lrmonline.com. We've got everything from rumours, geek movie stories, and we've got loads of interviews with proper stars, loads of indie film coverage, all that sort of stuff's on there as well, so check it out. Comics. Anyway, yeah, that's what we've got on there. Check it out if you can. We are focusing on football at the moment, so bit of a different show. If you normally watch us, if you're one of those 4 people that watches every week, I think we've even lost Rich these days, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Oh, Rich.
I may be wrong. Maybe you'll see this.
I'm sure he
Type in the
pops
comments,
up
Rich, if
here.
you're still watching.
Yeah, I'm sure he
Yeah.
popped up a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
I just missed that. We are doing a kind of end of season review, so we're looking at really kind of how all our team of the weeks went, our teams of the season, all that sort of stuff today. So we'll just get right into it. So
It's an episode where it highlights how stupid we are, or it makes us look stupid.
yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah, it just shows, but it's just right. See, with predictions, it's always you look at the transfers people make, but you kind of just look at the table the previous year. And you go off that, and it never is. And then the next year, when everything changes, you change it again, kind of thing.
I think there's a couple of things that happened this season that really just threw any semblance of a predicted table out the window. Because we'll get into
your
that.
Team scenario, yeah. But let's start with Ryan. We'll go to you because you've been toting up all our team of the weeks to give us our team of the season.
Yeah.
It's not our choice for team of the season, but Ryan, you can explain how.
Yeah, so we've been doing team of the week every week, and I thought it'd be a good idea to total how many picks or how many caps each player got. I did myself a little Google form to count everything. I went to update it all today and check on it and realised I hadn't updated it since game week 29, so that was fun. Luckily, the app that I use to put these graphics together keeps all of my teams in, so it was just annoying data entry rather than trying to scroll through. But anyway, we've gone straight with the people with the most caps for centre back and midfield. It is, I tried to sort of put people in the same slot consistently, but it was, if you got to pick at left centre back, you got to pick at right centre back. That that all counts. Same with midfield. Midfield is slightly different because we've sometimes gone with a 10, we've sometimes gone with 3 deeper ones. but I think we've come up with a pretty, a pretty balanced team. I think it's better than a lot of team of the seasons that you find in terms of people in the right, square pegs and square holes is what I would say.
Brian, can I ask you, did you just put in the substitutions so you could have a Man United player's name?
No. So the substitutions, that is just a quirk of the app that I used, but they are our honourable mentions. They are the players who just missed out, basically, because they were either level on points with somebody that we, as a group, decided had a better season, or they were just one or two off, or they deserve a mention.
I was trying to do something here on the computer side of things, but what's the tiebreaker for like the person that scored? Flecken got 4.
Yeah.
Why not just position? There was no other
no,
goalie
right.
with
So
4.
so Flecken was on 4, Pickford's on 4. He's a goalkeeper as well, and in those circumstances, it's purely vibes, and we'll explain that as we go through the team. So, starting with goalkeeper, then we got Mark Flecken from Brentford, who he signed the season before. He had a shaky first season. He's had quite a few good performances, and he's been rewarded, depending on your point of view, with a move to Erik ten Hag's Bayer Leverkusen that got announced during the week. So yeah, and I think he's been called up to the Dutch squad. He's going to be their first choice keeper as well. So he's had a good season. Jordan Pickford was the other candidate for that, and I know Dave went Pickford. Pickford is just Pickford. He's done what you'd expect
every
him to
season.
Do. Yeah,
he is brilliant every season.
Yeah,
but he's also a fucking Mackham, so I'm not picking him unless I'm forced to. Get it up you.
You'll note that the second place team and the third place team in the league this season don't have any representatives in this in this team of the season. Right back, we got an interesting one. This is Tino Livramento from Newcastle. Now he got 2 caps at right back and 2 caps at left back. So we've put him in at right back because all of the other right backs who were in contention only got 3. So we had Trent Alexander-Arnold, Nusayr Mazraoui, who I did some proper cheerleading for to get him on that list, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which, although Cam likes to have a dig at me, has had quite a good season at West Ham.
He has had quite a good. I think he's had a better season overall than Mazraoui. Mazraoui started okay, but Mazraoui hasn't been the same since Erik ten Hag left. Actually, I don't think.
I can agree with that. He's changed his role slightly. He's not made as much of an impact, and I think he just was knackered by the end of the season. But I can see what you're saying. Yeah. But yeah, Livramento, doesn't matter what side you put him on, he's quality. So I think he's a fair pick on that. And then centre back, we have Murillo from Nottingham Forest, who has just had a phenomenal season. He was really good last season. I loved him last season, but this season he's just stepped up a notch. He's a really fun player to watch, which is saying a lot for a centre back. He got 7. He got 7 caps, which is the joint most of any player. And next to him is Dean Hyson from Bournemouth, who was picked up out of relative obscurity from Juventus last season, and then Bournemouth have flogged him for 50 million to Real Madrid. So he,
well, I think he had quite a pedigree about him. Like Juventus bought him thinking this is the next young Delict or something like that, and then it didn't quite work out. But
I think it's just Bournemouth took a punt on him to get him before he really sort of blew up. I think that's
just the thing, at the time. Yeah, he really just at the time. Yeah, Juventus weren't going to play him much. So.
But yeah, I mean, he's got about the most Dutch sounding name you can have, but he's picked Spain to play for national team wise, and now he's gone to Real Madrid. So fair play to him. Quite the interesting path. And then left back, we've got, this is an interesting one. So this is very much a tale of two seasons, I think, because when we did this halfway through the season, Josko Gvardiol was running away with it because he was playing left back, but he was popping up at left wing, getting goals for City all the time. And then City's form fell off a cliff, so no City players were getting picked for months, and that allowed Cucurella to sort of come in. They both got 4 caps, and just because Gvardiol's done nothing since about September, we've put Cucurella in, I think.
Well, I mean, Dave, your thoughts on Cucurella this season? I think he's been very, considering he was a bit of a meme last year.
Yeah.
I think he's been very good.
He came into his own last year when Poch changed his tactics. When we turned into the inverted fullback role, he just was phenomenal since. He's incredibly consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I might talk about him later. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
And then moving into midfield, now I'm going to say that this is very much influenced by the makeup of the panel, this midfield. Not to say that none of these players have had good seasons, but Moises Caicedo is another one with 7 caps, which for a defensive midfielder to stand out in that way there's something going on there.
Well, I think what's going on is though that he's got 2 fans in our panel, and that's Dave and me. Because I like Caicedo
I like him as well. I
like
him as well, but
so I have.
I couldn't tell you a
Dave up quite a few times on the.
I couldn't tell you a single thing that he's done this season, but I suppose that's what you want out of your defensive midfielder, isn't it?
Will he get? Will he get in my team of the season? Don't know.
Yeah, and then next to him, Sandro Tonali, who I do think has had a very good season. From the year that he had last year with his gambling ban, he's come in and he's looked like the player that Newcastle.
I'd say he had a rough start. The first few weeks when he was kind of playing, Eddie didn't quite have the midfield 3 right.
Yeah.
And when he put Tonali into the 6 more holding role, our season just transformed for that point on, and he looked much more comfortable.
He came up with some big goals, but he just is everywhere. He's doing sort of what Bruno Guimaraes did when he first came in, isn't he?
I mean, in some ways, yeah, because I think we're asking Bruno to do something slightly different because I think Bruno's slightly more imaginative, creative, tries the risky balls a little bit more. He's everywhere, and even when we've had poor games, I think sometimes if the midfield is just not had a good game, Tonali's still been good. It's the other 2 that have maybe let him down. It's like Bruno's not had a good game, or Joe Linton's not been playing, and the link up's not really been there. But I think Tonali's never had below a 7 out of 10 for me really all season. Yeah. Maybe once the what was the game? The Bournemouth game we got absolutely smashed, was it? Or there was a Brentford. So one of the games we get smashed. It maybe wasn't that good, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. And then at 10, we've got Cole Palmer, who got 5 picks in midfield, and then 1 at right wing as well. And Dave, you're saying that was mainly due to his form at the start of the season.
I don't know if anybody remembers his form at the start of the season, but he was scoring or assisting pretty much every game. He scored 4 goals against Brighton, didn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he was incredible, but December he just dropped off a cliff. I bet he's probably not even appeared in Team of the Week since then. But
I think he had a couple of recent shouts.
Yeah, because he kind of come back the last few weeks. Yeah, I think that's probably what got him over the line, actually.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like at the beginning of the season we were picking him every week.
Like Gibbs White's get 4.
Gibbs White got 4, Morgan Rogers got 4, and Yuri Tielemans as well. Yuri Tielemans was a proper late charge, I think.
Rogers was similar.
Yeah. I mean, Villa were a lot better after the January transfer window, I think, in the league at least. And Tielemans was really running things for them. Rogers, he's just a good player, I think. And I don't really know what position he fits in, to be honest, because he just pops up everywhere, which we'll see in my team of the week later on, I think.
Well, will be. Spoilers.
Perhaps, yeah. Who knows? He's going to be in goal. And then front 3. Now, 2 of these, one of these names has picked itself all season. Mohamed Salah, 7 picks. He was, when we did the halfway stage, he was far and away really far ahead of everyone else in terms of caps.
I'm surprised he's only got 7.
Yeah, I think. Well, so I think as Liverpool slowly got the title sewn up, just their levels dipped a little bit, and Salah in particular.
You mean when he signed his new contract?
Yeah, I was going to say after Salah signed the new contract, he maybe wasn't as involved as previous, but equally Liverpool were coasting to the title, so their performances weren't standing out in the same way, which is why I think Ibrahima Konate, who got loads of early picks from Mick, just fell off a cliff as well. He didn't keep up at all. And then up front, we got Alexander Isak, who managed to overtake Erling Haaland. He got 4 picks the first 4 weeks of the season, I seem to recall, but then did nothing the rest of the season. I think he still ended up with 20-odd goals, but
most of them did come at that early spell when he was miles ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
And who else would have really? I mean, really, when you look at it, Mateta or Wood would have been the only other two that would even be in the picture.
Absolutely,
so.
yeah. So we put Mateta on the sort of also rans list. Ollie Watkins actually got 3 picks as well, but I forgot to put him on. Chris Wood only got the 1, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be that when he was playing well, somebody else was also
playing better.
A good game, and I was more biased for Isaac, or somebody was more biased for Mateta that week, or something like that. It could just be like that. But I think when you look at, again, when we get to our own teams of the season, you know, it's different when you look at the season as a whole package. Isn't it? Yeah. So
and then left wing, we had a bit of a debate about this in the chat because Callum Hudson-Odoi got 3. Jeremy Doku for Man City got 3, and then I realised quite late on that Luis Diaz got 3, but I spelt his name differently each time I put him in. So that's why I didn't pick him up at first. Now, Dave initially said Hudson-Odoi, same as myself and Cam, then changed to Luis Diaz.
When I found out it was an option.
When you found out he was an option, on the basis of his better goal involvements compared to Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
But going back to what we said at the start of this, where the tiebreakers were decided purely on vibes, Hudson-Odoi had a much more impressive season. He was the next big thing when he came out at Chelsea, and he was going to go to Bayern Munich for £40 million and all of that sort of thing, and then his career just really tailed off for a few seasons.
Well, he got bad injury.
Yeah, okay.
Which just ruined him.
He pops up at Forest last season. He does all right for Forest last season. They avoid relegation, and then he's a big part of why Forest have had the season that they've had this year. So although it's only been 5 goals and 5 assists, he's been crucial to how they've played. He seems like a big player again. There's shouts of him getting into England squads again, which didn't look like it was going to happen a year ago. Compared to Luis Diaz, who has put in numbers, but actually I think you'll find a lot of Liverpool fans would be quite happy to upgrade on him this summer. So, and I think Gakpo had a better season for Liverpool. I think there's other players there.
I don't think Gakpo, because Gakpo, Diaz, they both kind of take time off each other. Stuff, I don't know if Gakpo's really the answer. I think they definitely could upgrade on him, and as great as Liverpool are, it comes down to expectations, what's expected of them, and who turns up on the day.
It's all about who stands out.
Salah just is brilliant Salah was almost for like maybe 3 or 4 months. He was just unplayable, and he was winning games for Liverpool literally on his own. And that doesn't necessarily mean everybody else has to get in as well for me. So
and I think with Liverpool as well, that obviously they won the league at an absolute canter, but they've only got 1 player in the team of the season. I think that's because Salah really had a standout season, but everybody else just really sort of pulled together, and everybody else was at such a high level that no one player stood out.
If you're a 7 out of 10 every week, but you're never an 8 or a 9, you're maybe not going to get in our team of the week, but you're still a bro. And again, we'll see that when we look at our own teams of the season. That because we could have a player in there that has 5 9 out of 9 performances, and then the rest of the games they were like a 2 out of 10. They were rubbish, and they would still be.
Well, we've got. I mean, there's a few of those in there, so I think Jeremy Doku's on there with 3 in the subs bench. Now that is 3 games where he's gone on a mazy drivel and he's managed to cut back for somebody to score. Yeah. That's what's happened.
Well, who knows? He might be in somebody's team of the year. Who knows? Mix.
Yeah. No, you never know. So we've all done our own individual, completely not stats based, just gut feeling team of the years.
Oh,
So
bias, maybe.
Bias plays a part in it as well.
Sure.
But Dave, as it's your first episode back,
I can go first.
you can go first. Because I need a break from talking for a bit.
All right, fair enough. I'll talk. I haven't talked in months anyway. I think this guy is going to be on a lot of our lists.
Yeah.
Matt Sells. I think he's been the best keeper this season.
Yeah.
Forest as a whole has surprised everyone. That's probably why there's probably quite a few Forest players in some of our picks. But Sells has just been phenomenal. So I've gone with him. I don't know how many picks he got now, team of the week. You got one, was it? Oh,
I think he got 3 alongside David Raya, and he shared the golden
glove. Yeah.
I think I robbed him because there was one week we were deciding between Sales and Flecken for team of the week, and I went, and it was like a choice, and I went Flecken, and I think it was like a coin flip at that point.
Yeah,
maybe you're right. It's Cam's fault. But I praised him here. So
and again, it's similar to Hudson-Odoi, where he went to Forest with no reputation at all, and he's just done brilliantly, hasn't he?
Yeah, and their defense has been impeccable. All season. So right back's been very difficult this year, and no one really jumped out at me. I did kind of want to put Livramento at first because he's really impressed me, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't go with him. But like we said before, he's kind of changed sides every now and again. But maybe it was the cup win at the end. I know Livramento won 1 with Newcastle, but recency bias, isn't it? So I've gone with
he had
him
a really
right
strong
back.
end to the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
I noticed that he showed up in a lot of like the pundits team of the year and stuff like that as well. So
I mean, there was that game a couple of weeks ago where he just destroyed Spurs' left side, didn't he? And I know Spurs weren't really trying, but he just was in every time he got the ball. I think that's probably what stands out in a lot of minds. He's a good player. He's had a good season, for sure.
Yes. So right back was very much different to our left back picks because I got the Cucurella because I think he's fantastic. He's so consistent. I went to see Chelsea in January, and we were against the mighty Morecambe, and we were not creative at all in the first half, and that's against the league, well, now Nations League team. Sorry, Morecambe. And as soon as he came onto the pitch, the entire game just changed. His movement, because when you're watching on the screen, you don't see what is really going on. But just watching him in person, I was massively impressed with him, and I just fell in love with him there. I don't think he's really put a foot wrong all season. I think he's defensively is one of the best out there. And attacking, he's been fantastic. He's scored quite a few important goals for us, winning us games, which obviously at the end got us top 4. So that's why he's there for me. But I could have put Robertson, I could have put Aït-Nouri, I could have put Kerkez. I mean, there's so many left backs this season. It was really hard to choose, and I've just been biased here. So I don't know if anybody else picked him, but he's definitely there for me. Centre backs, I've gone for Van Dijk. I was leaning on Konate, but I think Van Dijk's kind of, as we said before, Konate I don't think has been that strong in the last half of the season, but Van Dijk's kind of taken by the scruff of the neck at times and just dragged them through. And that's what got me to pick him. And he scores quite a lot of goals, doesn't he? Important goals. And Murillo, I love Murillo. I wish Chelsea had him. I know we were looking at him previously, and I wish we had looking at him this year. He's just that style of defender, which I think every team wants. And he's so young as well, but he seems fearless.
Yeah, he's a proper leader back there for them, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's fearless, but he's not stupid. And I think that's I love him. Forest are very lucky to have him, and I'm not sure anybody will be able to afford him this year.
Yeah, he's David Luiz with a sensible head on his shoulders, isn't he?
Yeah. What a winning formula.
I mean, I think the reason we haven't heard too much about him moving is because he signed quite a long-term contract in the winter, didn't he, with Forest? So they want to keep him for their Conference League run. But yeah, I'd love him at United as well.
Yeah. Obviously, my favourite player at the moment, Caicedo. Caicedo.
Leave it there.
He wins the ball so much.
Yeah, he just wins the ball so much.
He's consistent. He never. I'm surprised he doesn't get many yellow cards because he fluffs up a lot of tackles. But that's the defensive midfielder. They seem to get away with everything. Every team has one, and he gets away with a lot. But he is very dynamic. There's so much to his game, and I think without him, we'd have been lower half. I think
that's the one thing he needs to improve, though. But he's young, and I think he will improve. Is just not quite fouling as much. Havertz, the same physicality, but just a bit more savvy, because that's the only thing that I think can affect him sometimes. Like, because if he gets an early yellow, it can hurt him a little bit. So
you're dead right. I think that's what made Kante so incredible, because he knew the moment when to go for it. And Caicedo needs that in his game. But like you said, he's young. He might be able to do that. And I think if Lavia is back, he might become a bit more sensible. He might feel like he doesn't have to do it all himself. Same if the defenders are a bit more on it, he might not feel as much pressure to just dive straight in there. But he's been a 7 out of 10 every single game this year. And when we've looked bad, he's always looked good. So that's why he's there for me. Bruno G. Who doesn't love Bruno G? I know he's quite aggressive at times, but everybody wants to play like him in your team. He's the heart of Newcastle, and I think he's just...
I think the only difference between Bruno Guimaraes and Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Guimaraes is better looking, and that's why people like him and they don't like Fernandes,
No, because
I don't think he chases after a wrestler.
You've got that completely wrong. I don't want to derail. I'm just going to say this one thing. You can disagree if you want. The difference is the attitude. When things are not going well, Bruno Fernandes huffs. He looks as if he wants to cry. Sometimes he doesn't look as if he wants the ball. You will never see that from Bruno Guimaraes. He will. Yeah. He's actually more likely to go the other way and do something stupid.
Yeah,
we might cover that topic on a future podcast, I think. But yeah.
I mean that's it with Bruno. He's lifted Newcastle. I think when the heads are down, sometimes he'll always go for it. Newcastle are lucky to have him, and he seems passionate about the club, so I can't see him going anywhere anytime soon.
I'm gonna tear it my here, Dave.
And my other one in midfield is Gravenberch. He's another player I love to watch. He was talked about a lot at the beginning of the season, but I haven't really heard him mentioned in the second half of the season. I don't know if it's just because of how McAllister's played, because he's been excellent.
Yeah.
But Gravenberch to me has been absolutely fantastic, and a large reason why Liverpool played so great throughout a lot of it. Well done Liverpool. They did what Newcastle did with Joe Linton. I think they just kind of turned a player into a different position, and he's just been absolutely class at it. So you never know with players, do you? Sometimes you can just make them into an absolute beast by putting them in a different position. You never know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Salah, I don't know if I need to really say much about Salah. We've already talked about him. Incredible season.
Player of the season.
I just wish he had left. Yeah, but he signed a new contract, so now we're stuck playing against him again for another year.
What we can hope, though, is that this was actually his last hurrah, and he'll take a drop off the cliff next season, and that Liverpool will be stuck paying his contract.
That is the hope, but he's actually had like the best season of his career. So it's difficult to see that happening, to be honest.
Well, you see that the best 3/4 of it, he's actually been gash the last month and a half. Like since it was obvious Liverpool were going to win it, since the cup final, final against Newcastle, the League Cup final, I think Salah's been rubbish. But he was so good up until that point that he was just already player of the season by then.
Yeah. Up front, this is one of my favourite players out there, Isak. I think I said at the beginning, or near the middle of the season, if I had a choice between Isak and Haaland, I'd choose Isak because he's got more to his game. He can do pretty much everything as a striker. He's been unfortunate to be injured at parts at Newcastle, but when he's played, he's largely been consistent, and I think he's one of the best strikers on the planet. And left wing was hard because nobody really stood out, as we saw with how the team of the season collective went. None of us really would have chosen any of those players in our team of the season. So I went with Mbeumo, despite him playing right wing all of the season. So I've done exactly what I said I'd never ever do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 20 goals?
Yeah. At least you waited to the end of the season to do that. Troy Deeney said that he wasn't ever going to do that and then did it first week, didn't he?
Oh, he did, yeah. Fell out. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just because nobody really stood out.
Probably people think about it like, oh, this is rubbish. 1 week they look at it and think, I'll never do that. And then when they try to do it themselves, they're like, oh, this is quite tricky actually, because no one played well in that position this week.
I think the entire left side has just been a problem thing for us all season, to be honest. But
maybe.
Yeah, but his impact this season with Wissa as well. Yeah. The only other person I would have gone with is Cunha, who's not even a left winger either.
No.
But, anyway, that's my team. I like it. I think that's the best.
Done, Dave. Not bad, but of course you're wrong. Slightly. What we're going to do now is we're actually, because Mick was supposed to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it through other from stuff. So we're going to get Mick to read out.
No, we're going to get Kyle.
It's called the Mick.
Kyle.
We're going to get Kyle.
So Kyle's
today.
Kyle's going to put on a Geordie accent and he's going to go.
He has to shave his head first.
Yeah, so Kyle, take us through Mick's team of the season as best as you can, as quickly as you want. I don't care.
It's quite similar to Dave's, fortunately for you. But...
If you're listening out to how I pronounce it, I think I got some of them wrong as well.
I'm sure. So, that Sells guy, apparently he's pretty good, so he's going to be on here a lot, and Mick put him on there. So, there's that. Yeah. Nottingham Forest, every time I hear it, I just start hearing Disney's Robin Hood crap in my brain, and that's awful.
It is that place.
Then
you have Livramento over at Newcastle. What a unfortunate name. But I guess he did really good. That's on the right. Is
he's
that the
pretty
right
fresh.
stage right?
He's pretty fresh, Livramento.
Screen right? Yeah. he's pretty fresh. And sticking on the theme of liver, you got Van Dijk from Liverpool. And I would have picked him just because of his name. So there's that.
As good as reason as any. Yeah.
A name I can absolutely pronounce, Murillo. That's good. It rhymes with Brillo. It's easy to remember. Again, with Nottingham Forest, I don't like how your guys' colors are very, very, very different. You'll have weird colors for the goalie, and then completely your team is red or black and white, and then it's a green or a blue for your alternatives, and it confuses me. But Murillo's there. Murillo's there. He showed up on other people's list, right? He's pretty good. He's on the thumbnail, maybe.
Yeah, he's on the thumbnail.
I don't think he's been in any other team of seasons that's not from us lot, though.
I know. Actually,
weird, yeah.
his centre back partner Milinkovic has been in more of the pundits teams of the seasons. I don't get it. I think Milinkovic is good.
I don't know.
But
my favorite moment from Murillo was that time he did that thing against that guy in that one game. It was great.
That was really
brilliant.
I agree.
I like that as well.
For the highlight reel.
Kirkez, like a Kirkaz. I'm sure I'm in a completely different part of the world pronouncing it like that, but that's what I'm going with. From Bournemouth, and what's bad is I actually know how to say most of like the city places and things like that, because here in Virginia we have our own places like Portsmouth, Norfolk, and all that.
Yeah.
Over again with some Newcastle, we have tonally. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Graven Birch. Sorry, Graven Birch. I don't know. He's another liver guy, but he was involved in that other thing with Van Dyck, and that was pretty awesome. I can't really mess this one up. So Gibes White, right?
you
did a good job.
Managed to mess it up.
Yeah.
It's not Gibes, it's Gibbs.
No, but he's from the Midlands, so it is probably a bit Gibes White.
Accidental correct pronunciation.
double B. It's never an I. Shall we? That's just how it goes. Sorry. Anyway,
there was a guy in the army. Gibbs was his last name. One of the just solid stocking dude. Like could have been like a linebacker in the NFL, but he was way too short. Anyways,
so actually he couldn't have been a linebacker.
No, he could have been just on like the size, but he was like just too short to actually like make it pro type deal. Dude was.
He'd have been good at high school.
Oh man, give him another like 4, 5, 7 inches, dude would have been set.
Hey, give me an extra 4, 5, 7 inches.
And we would all take an extra 4, 5, 7. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Salah, I really didn't know what to do with that one to purposefully salad. There we go. Damn it, missed my opportunity.
He's the guy that works with Indiana Jones in the movie Salah. That's him.
There you go. I honestly, Mbuemo. I know sometimes those M's in the beginning part can be kind of hard to go for, but Brentford, really? Did Brentford where did they end? They were 10th. I guess
but he was make it. He was
because
really
of him.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. That's why they weren't below 10th.
No, they're all right.
And then Isaac, USAC, we all Isaac, right?
To look for Mr. Isaac.
We all sack together. There you go. I hope I did good.
Yeah.
Or
Well
not.
done.
You did
Well
great.
done.
I'm surprised Kyle didn't put any Arsenal players in there.
I'm shocked.
It's not really a mixed team. Yeah.
Yeah, shocking.
I meant to look up, but then I didn't.
Fine.
Okay.
Right, Cam.
So my team, and I'll say that my team is definitely based in the domestic season as a whole. So I'm including the cups in this as well, and that's the reason why I've got someone where they are. So anyway, I've got Sells as goalkeeper as well. I think he was just, the keeper that if you had him this season, the way he was playing, he'd have got you 5 or 6 extra points, no matter what team you were playing in.
I've just realised I put him off centre in there somehow, and it's really annoying me. Look at the state of that. Awful.
Let's just stop the show now.
Yeah.
Right, we can't carry on. Anyway, I've got Tino. I'm actually shocked that Dave, you were like, I don't know who to put it right by. I think Tino Livramento. I think he should be in.
I regret it because I was
so
thinking
good
about
at
him
right back.
Until Ryan asked me what my team was, and then I forgot about him.
I've said enough about him, but he was so consistent for us, even in games where we sometimes didn't get the result we were looking for. I think he'll usually get once or twice I saw him maybe not having a good game this season, but other than that, he was just pretty much solid. Considering the way this guy's come back from a really serious injury, he's never injured. He's fit every game just about, and he plays 90 minutes every game, and he runs for 90 minutes every game. He's just class. I had Murillo as well. Kind of done a wee switch over about so I could fit them both in. Both left-footed centre-backs for me. I don't think I need to say any more about Murillo. We all liked him on this show. I do have Dan Burn in at centre-back. I think he was, I'm not saying he was necessarily the best defender in the league this year. I think when you add in the cup as well and the kind of heroics in that, it's just for an emotional feeling. Dan Burke has to be in there for me.
He's an excellent butcher as well.
Yeah. Do you think he was better than Gabriel?
I mean, in the games where we beat Arsenal 3 times out of 4, yes, he was fucking well better than Gabriel. Gabriel's still in Isaac's back pocket for those games, mate. So there's my answer to that. I don't remember. That's right. Arsenal don't actually have any strikers, but whoever they play up front against.
Can a striker have a centre back in their back pocket?
Well, I didn't want to mention.
Yes,
that's how that works.
Well, it's how. No, wait. That's how Arsenal operate, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. Their biggest threat is their defence. Newcastle knew that. That's why Tonali was marking him throughout the game.
Yeah, and obviously, just scoring the first goal in the final, lifting the cup as a Newcastle lad. Do you know what I mean? He was brilliant in that final, Big Dan. And emotionally, he just has to get in my team of the season for that alone, because when I think back on this season and years to come, the image of Big Dan Burn holding up that Carabao Cup, that's the image that's going to be stuck in my head, so that's why he's there. Kerkez I've got at left back, just think he's an excellent player, and that's why Liverpool are very soon going to be buying him. I think quality up and down the field, quality crosses in from the left. Great player. Midfield, I've gone. I think the 2 best midfields in the league this year were Newcastle and Liverpool's, so I decided to combine them. At one point, I did have Rice in, so I would say Rice and Caicedo as honourable mentions. But for me, those were the 3 best midfields overall in the league this year. So I've got 2 from Liverpool and 1 from Newcastle. As much as I loved you talking about Bruno, I actually don't think he's had the best season this year. He's had a few games where his form did drop off a little bit, and yet Tonali was still kind of at that higher level. So that's why I've got Tonali in there, and then Gravenberch and McAllister, because I just think they're both absolutely class. Salah, again, digs a lot of good holes for looking for the Ark of the Covenant. It helps Indy out when he's in trouble. What else do you need to say about him? I am surprised that no one else has got Rodgers at left wing, because Rodgers plays at left wing for Villa more than he plays in midfield.
Yeah, he has been excellent. And I'd love him at Chelsea. He'd complete our City to Chelsea collection. But Villa was so bad throughout a lot of the season that a lot of their players got forgotten. So I feel like Rodgers has only just come into his own the last.
No, I think he started well, and then he had a little tail off in the middle, and then he come back again when they were entrenched in Champions League. But then I'm thinking, and I know maybe I shouldn't be using the European stuff, but I'm thinking he also performed in the Champions League as well. If I was putting a team together last year, I would say this team would win the league. That's why I've gone for Rodgers at the left.
I really like him.
And Isaac up front, you've already said quite a bit about, so I don't need to say any more. I think he was close to dropping out my team, Isaac, actually, because I think I like Salah. I think Isaac's not been the same since the League Cup final. He just seems to have fallen off a cliff a little bit. He was missing a lot of chances, and we would have got Champions League at a canter if he had scored some of the sitters that he actually missed over the last few weeks of the season. So he was actually close to dropping out for me, but nobody else really kind of took up the mantle and snatched it off him either. So that's my team.
Yeah, cool. And then we'll finish up with my team, which starts with Andre Onana and then moves on to we've got Matt Sells in goal again. Nothing more to be said about that. I've gone for Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, who. He's again one of the Liverpool players who, as the stakes have got lower, has maybe tailed off towards the end of the season. Obviously, he's had that contract stuff where he's gone over to Real Madrid as well. But I just think he's had a brilliant season. from right back. He creates so much. I don't think he's as bad defensively as maybe he was a couple of years ago either. And I think he'll do quite well for Real Madrid as well. So he's in there. And then Virgil van Dijk next to him, because just if Liverpool are good, it's because Van Dijk's good, I think. Although, you know, looking back through the rest of this episode, there's quite a few centre backs that I've overlooked there. But we've put Van Dijk in. I felt, you know, Liverpool won the title at the Canter. They need a few players in this team. Is a bit of the motivation there.
True.
Murillo, we've said all that needed to be said about Murillo. He's in there. He was the first name on the sheet. And then Milos Kerkez at left back. I just love his quickness of thought and how sort of forward thinking he is. He's always bombing forward, and for a fullback, he does inside and outside really well. So sometimes he'll burn past his player, put a cross in. Other times he'll come inside and he'll play a through ball through to the striker. He's just about as perfect an attacking fullback as you can get, as far as I'm concerned at the minute. And then midfield, I've gone slightly different to everyone else. So I've got Sandro Tonali in there for the reasons that I said when we did the full team of the season earlier on. Next to him, I've got Declan Rice, because although Arsenal haven't been as good as they were the previous 2 seasons, Rice is the one player in that team who hasn't dropped his performance level at all. He's been constantly at a high level. He's pulling the strings. He gets forwards. He comes up with goals. He obviously had those free kicks against Real Madrid in the Champions League as well, which you know, it's not Premier League.
Sent his hype into overdrive.
It did, but I just think he's really gone from, you know, he's a rare example of potential at a smaller club when he was at West Ham to just constantly growing his game year on year to he's one of the best midfielders in the world as far as I'm concerned, and certainly one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And then I've gone for Morgan Gibbs-White at 10, because again he's just been crucial to how Forest play. He's turned from, he was very much just a number 10 when he was a young player at Wolves, and now he's just a complete box to box midfielder. He gets stuck in off the ball. He's crucial to Forest's counter-attacking style with his long passing range. He's got a brilliant long pass on him, where he's finding Elanga, he's finding Hudson-Odoi, he's finding Chris Wood as soon as he gets on the ball. I just think he's had a phenomenal season for Forest, and I think he'll probably end up at probably City this summer, or you know, he'll end up at a bigger club this summer for sure. And then front 3 is exactly the same as Cam's. So Mo Salah, just because he's been the best player in the league all season. I've often thought that Mo Salah isn't actually that impressive to watch. If you watch him in a game, he isn't that impressive. But what has particularly struck me this season, that even if he's not involved in a game, just the fact of him being there really unsettles the defence. The fullback can't get forward because he knows that all it takes is one break, and Liverpool have got passers who can find Salah, who's not going to come back. He's going to stay up. And that really is and
he just needs one
helps.
Chance
exactly,
as well. Like
exactly.
Just one mistake and he just.
So he's in there. He's an easy pick. Alexander Isak, just again, he's turned, like you guys have said, he's turned into a complete striker. He's got pace. He's got control. He's got an absolute rocket on him as well. He's had a fantastic season. And then I've also got more.
News, Dave, Liam Delap signed for Chelsea. Just
we do that, yeah.
So that's team of the season sorted next season then. And then I like you, Cam. I went Morgan Rogers at left wing because he does pop up there a lot, and he's just a fantastic player to watch. So you know,
we watch more football than
we do. We absolutely do. We're the discerning guys, and I just think, you know, a lot. Ollie Watkins obviously gets a lot of attention. Rashford and Asensio, since they came in January, got a lot of attention, but Rodgers really makes that team tick, I think. He just provides that spark that they need a lot of the time. So yeah, that's my team of the season, and I'm very glad of a few weeks off of trying to organise that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, let's move on to our individual moments of the season, right? I'll start off because, sorry, Dave, were you going?
I was just going to say, if anybody's watching, please put in your team of the season, see how it compares to ours, and we'll tell you whether we agree with it and why.
We won't, but we won't agree with it, but that's fine.
Well,
unless you pick the same as us, obviously, because I don't agree with you and I don't agree with Ryan, but that's just.
Well, I can understand why you picked those players. So,
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yes, there's nobody's when I was looking at Andy's list where I'm like, what? Where did you get that guy from? That's bizarre.
If we finished in the top half of the table, I'd have had Ahmad and Lenny Yoro in there, 100%.
And you would have been criticised for it. But there you go. Anyway, our different moments of the season. So I'm going to start off. So my favourite moment of the season, and it's also mixed as well, was Newcastle winning our first trophy, our first domestic trophy in 69 years. Our first domestic trophy in, any trophy in 50 odd years. Which was basically a Carabao Cup win, the celebration that we had. Been in finals many times in my lifetime, always lost them, always had that, it wasn't ours. We've always played a really good, the best team in the league. Every time we get to a final, we're playing the best team in the league, and usually they beat us. This year, we played the best team in the league, and we were better than them. We just were great that day, and we won it. So there's no other moment that could be that for me and Mick. It's the first time it's happened in my lifetime, and certainly Mick's as well because he's younger than me. I hope it's not the only one in my lifetime, but for the moment it is. So who's next?
Mine's
next on the list, but
we'll save Ryan's for last, shall we? Because I really want to know what is. I want that excitement for later on.
Yeah. Okay, go on then, Dave.
So my moment was because I didn't really think about games. It's not even a game, is it? Chelsea won a cup basically, and I didn't put that for some reason. I don't know why.
I think we all know why.
I think we all know why, Dave.
Because it made me laugh more. Not in the final. But it made me laugh. It really put a smile on my face when Cucurella slipped twice and gave Tottenham hope of beating Chelsea. They were 2 goals ahead.
You told us all earlier on Cucurella didn't put a foot wrong all season. Now you're telling me he slipped over twice against Spurs. Spurs scored twice.
He did the perfect thing. He lured them. He led them under false pretenses. He gave them hope, and he took that away, and that just made me love him more. And he came up with a penguin celebration after that, and that's just been, his thing ever since. But Chelsea were excellent that game. I loved how we just turned it around, and that kind of showed the mentality that we can have at times, even though it was against Spurs. And we've shown that throughout the season, I think. We've been very up and down, as quite a few teams have, like City and Villa and Forest, of course, at the end. But Chelsea, in games, we've turned it around when we've needed to. And we had the hardest run up to the end of the season, and we smashed it. Except against Newcastle, that was a bit of a slip up, but
and that's kind of the result that got us through, But you went on to that and won your next 2, and we lost our next 2. So
I'm happy with that because Newcastle got into the top 5 instead of Villa or Forest. So I'm happy with how it ended. But so that Spurs game kind of says it all about how Chelsea have been this season, I think. How we'll do next season, I don't know, but we'll talk about that later on in another episode.
Yeah. Cool. My one is, it's been a historically awful season. I'm not gonna try and dodge that. There has been basically no redeeming qualities to it. However, I do think philosophically it's a season that I've been saying for a while that we needed to have. We need to stop pretending that we're a big club and we're a good team.
You want to have a bad season, but you don't want to have that bad a season.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've not enjoyed it at all, but I do think it's what needed to happen because we have been papering over the cracks for a good 15 years now. but anyway, we had a couple of high points. We had the Derby win over City, where Ahmad scored a really good goal right at the end. We had the FA Cup win over Arsenal, where we beat them on penalties after going down to 10 men. But I've gone for the second leg against Lyon in the Europa League quarter-final, where we were 2-0 up and cruising through and playing really good football. And then inexplicably let them into the game in a way that we've done basically every single game this season. With the difference being we'd actually scored some goals before we started fucking about. And that was disheartening, but then sort of right on full time, Leon got a man sent off, and it's like, fine, we'll be all right, lads. We'll be fine. We've been the better team across the tie. It'll be good. Fast forward to half time in extra time, and Leon are 4-2 up. And we're going out the cup, and our season is over in sort of late March, early April. And it's just, I mean, I even said in the WhatsApp chat, right, that's it. That's our season over. We've pissed it away. But the reason why this has been the moment of the season is quite apart from scoring 3 goals in the last 6 minutes of the game to win 5-4. I had my eldest with me. We went round to my dad's to watch the game, and it started at the Euros last summer, but he's been slowly dipping his toe into football, and he was in tears after the Euros final last summer, which, much as it was difficult to see, it made me think, actually he's into it. This is good. It's affecting his emotions. That means he's properly into football. And basically, it was just when the Harry Maguire goal went in at the 96th minute. Just my dad jumped out of his chair, which just doesn't happen. He's never that emotional at watching the football. Nathan, my oldest, is really giving it some. He's absolutely buzzing off it, and it was a great family moment. It really sort of is a United fan now. It was crushing disappointment a few weeks later in the final, but I said to him at the end of that game is I spend 2 hours every other day watching absolute shit, just so occasionally I get a moment like that, and that's what watching football is all about.
That even had me off the sofa screaming.
Yeah.
I loved it. That's what you watch football for, even if you don't like the team. It's so great to see.
I think it was the maddest game of the year, kind of thing. In some ways, some of the champions, some of the Lance Champions League games, maybe as well. You would add into that, but
it's a bit of a microcosm in our season because over the course of the 2 legs on the tie, we played absolutely brilliantly. We were by far the better team in that tie, but we really just let in such soft goals to give Leon a chance of getting anything out of that game. And it was the one game where we actually went, no, this is silly, lads. Let's do something about it. Casemiro was brilliant in that game. Bruno was Bruno. Harry Maguire was just phenomenal. He had a really strong end to the season anyway. And it's just, it summed up the season, but with a rare sort of positive ending for me. But it just was more about what it meant for me and for my son's sort of footballing journey, basically.
Yeah, I in a season of, I've been there. I've had horrible seasons. I've seen Newcastle have worse seasons than you just had. But you can always find that moment or something that you can still take joy in, can't you? So. On that, but let's look at our early season predictions, which is our last thing that we're going to kind of cover this week. And this is who we thought, or the tables that we thought they would be at the start of the season, or the 4 of us at least, myself, Ryan, Mick and Dave. Kyle didn't bother with any of that nonsense.
No.
Next year, though.
At the time. Yeah, we'll get him in next year. Yeah.
He's like, oh, yay.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be quite quick because you'll see on your screen as Carl brings it up. It's quite simple. You get a point for a tick. You don't get anything for a red X, and there is a hell of a lot of red X's on these screens. So top half of the table, Cam got 3, Dave got 1, Mick got 2, and I got absolutely fuck all. Which, Liverpool winning the title really threw a spanner in the works.
Third, Ryan.
Yeah, United third.
Man United third, Spurs fourth.
Wow. We had a really good transfer window. I'm not going to go into why that's happened this season. That's an entire podcast on its own. But I think so Liverpool. I think what's happened here? Liverpool winning the league, Forest having such a good season, and Spurs and United being absolutely terrible is what's really sort of shaking things up here. I've got to say, fair play to Cam for going Chelsea 4th, Newcastle 5th. That was a great shout. And then, everyone who predicted Arsenal to fall short again got a point.
That's an easy point. That's an easy pick, isn't it?
So I'm going the same next year.
I am as well.
What I'm going to say is,
I don't know whether I'll go Liverpool or second.
What I'm going to say is,
last time they came second 3 times in a row, they won the league the year.
I got done in because I thought City were going to have a bad season, which they did. I just didn't predict how bad a season they were going to have. So that's what's done me. And then obviously nobody saw Liverpool winning the league. So that's the top half of the table. I don't think there's any massive surprises in the top half of the table beyond Forest being in there. I think everybody else
close. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody knew where anybody from third to
and it'll be the same.
I suppose
as well.
I suppose Bournemouth 9th, Brentford 10th. I think none of us had either of those in this top half bit. West Ham, I think quite a few of us had. We all had West Ham in the top half. They were
they had a bad season.
I thought we had a great window.
Exactly. Going to the bottom half, this was much worse for everybody. We couldn't even get the relegated teams right. So Cam and Dave both had Forest getting relegated. They also had it.
You, Ryan.
So did I. You're quite right. Mick's the only one who predicted that all 3 promoted teams would go down. It's just Leicester somehow managed to get above Ipswich at the end of the season, which has stopped him getting all 3 points for that. Cam and Dave had Ipswich finishing bottom. Palace sort of let us all down really with their finish because they should be the absolute bankers, them and Fulham, but they just swapped places for some reason. And then I think Wolves and Everton again sort of are the wrong way around for a lot of us.
Wolves went on a great run as well.
They did, yeah. They finished the season really strongly.
At the very end. At the very end,
because they've done what they needed to do. Then it was all about survival, and they smashed.
They finished below us in the table, so I think it's only right that we've taken their best player, and they should be just put out of business for that ignominy. To be honest,
that might send them down next year, especially if Victoria goes as well.
Yeah. So in terms of table predictions, so Cam scored 3 points, Dave scored 1 point. Mick scored 3 points, and I got 2 points out of that because I went Ipswich 19th and Southampton bottom.
So it's a draw.
So it's all very close, and then it's all basically for naught because we did pre-season predictions of who was going to be top scorer, who was going to get the most assists, who was going to get the most clean sheets, who was going to get Player of the Year, and who was going to get Young Player of the Year. Now this was on the basis of, I think. For a couple of us, it was on the basis of Arsenal winning the league, where there were a couple of picks, and City just sort of staying at the normal level. So Cam went Alexander Isak for top scorer. Now, he wasn't a million miles off.
No, but still not right.
Yeah, but the rest of us all went Erling Haaland, which why wouldn't you?
He was looking that way at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
we were all smug. We're like,
But it was Mohamed Salah who got that in the end. Again, we've got the usual suspects for top assister. We got Cam and Dave with Kevin De Bruyne, myself and Mick with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno actually finished 4th in the table.
Are you sure Mick said Bruno Fernandes and not?
He definitely said there was. I mean, is Bruno G?
Bruno?
No, he definitely said Bruno Fernandes.
He said Bruno.
He definitely said Bruno Fernandes.
Are you disappointed in him, Cam?
Yeah, I'm disappointed in his football.
I mean, does Bruno actually do that many assists? I don't think that's his game, is it?
I mean,
I think he scores more goals than.
Yeah. What I would say. What I would say is Bruno somehow finished 4th on the assist list, despite the fact that we didn't score any goals this season. So fair play to him. But Mohamed Salah got that as well. So I think he's the first player to get top goal scorer and top assister in multiple seasons. I think I saw that stat, which is why he got Player of the Year. But we'll get onto that in a minute. Golden Gloves, so most clean sheets. Cam went Nick Pope, and that very much didn't happen because he didn't play half the season, did he? Dave went David Raya.
That good defensively.
No.
Either.
Dave went
you know
David
what
Raya.
Arsenal are going to be like. He's a safe bet, Raya.
Yeah.
The point I picked Pope, I just want to say I thought that our centre back partnership this year would be Botman and Guehi. You know what I mean, in front of Pope. So you know what I'm saying.
But yeah, I mean, we'll give Dave the point for that because Raya shared the trophy with Matt Sells. Mick went Allison, who again didn't play half the season, and then I went David Raya as well. So I get a point for that. Player of the year, again, reflects the fact that we didn't think Liverpool were going to be anywhere. So we had Cam and Dave both pick Rodri, who got injured right at the start of the season, missed the whole thing.
Yep,
he did get the Ballon d'Or.
He got the Ballon d'Or, but that was for last season's exploits. So
I still think if he hadn't get injured, he could have won it. But,
I mean, yeah. I mean, if he hadn't got injured, I think the title race would have been a bit more exciting as well. But
yeah,
Mick went Martin Odegaard, who has not had a good season, but he's also missed a lot of it with injury. And I went Bukayo Saka, who I think has been all right when he's played, but again, he's missed quite a bit of the season, hasn't he?
Yeah. Definitely think Newcastle should be looking at picking him up. I think he should go to a club that wins trophies.
I couldn't agree more. And then young player of the year, we have Cole Palmer from Cam and Mick, Bukayo Saka from Dave. I went for Alejandro Garnacho because, I mean, he was our best player at the back end of last season. He was our best player at the back end of last season. But you know, Ahmad and Lenny Yoro, if you're looking at it from a United perspective, have got a better claim to that. But it actually went for Ryan Gravenberch. Now, I don't know. I just think the age categories is just too.
You think he's older than he is?
Yeah,
he plays like he's older than he is.
Yeah, maybe that's it as well a little bit, but I think it should be like 21-year-olds. I think it goes to 23.
It could be like breakout season.
He's 23. Yeah, and obviously it's only his second season in the league, and fine, but yeah, I think there should maybe be like an appearance limit on it or something. But
maybe something
because
something to make it. Yeah,
players like Saka and Foden. And even Haaland were just constantly in those lists for years, even though they were well-established players. And I just don't think that's what that award's for. I mean, even by that logic, Garnacho shouldn't have been allowed.
Did Wayne Rooney or Ronaldo, did one of them not win both of them in 1 year?
Yeah. But that's fine. But they were really, they were, 18, 19 at the time. So
No, but I'm talking about maybe before they had kind of got that, when they were winning the league player of the year as well. They were in their early 20s.
But anyway, the only correct picks on those were myself and Dave for going David Raya for clean sheets. So the final scores for this completely pointless exercise are Cam on 3, Mick 3, Ryan 3, Dave on 2. So I think we should strip his title off him.
Yeah, I think we should add those points onto the main predictions table, and that would give me the glorious win. Victory! Glory!
That's not the way it works, Cam.
I know it's not the way it works.
No.
Because we didn't have any scoring system set up for it, and it's a bit of a stupid idea when we do have a scoring system set up for the rest. And that's about us then, guys. So I don't know how much Dave will be able to come back in future weeks at the moment because there's
try and make it
involved.
Myself
and Ryan will be back. Dave will try and make it. I think we might be struggling to get Mick for a while, but you never know what will happen in the future. But we are planning, I think, to take a couple of weeks off because there's not much football happening at the moment. So it might be 2 or 3 weeks before we're back and we're starting to look at what happens sort of next after that and where we're going, all the transfers that are happening.
Club World Cup will be on.
And we'll look at the Club World Cup as well.
If we can be bothered watching it, but
Yeah, I mean, we will. We're football fans. We're like, we don't care about that. But then when you're sitting on a Wednesday night and there's nothing on the telly,
a couple of weeks
on the Club World Cup,
a couple of weeks in the wilderness, and we'll all be jonesing for a bit of who is it?
I mean, you know what it's
Boca
like.
Juniors versus Urawa
At the start of the season, you're watching the pre-season games because you want to see the new signings and stuff like that, and they're rubbish. So, but we'll take a few weeks off, and then we'll be back in a preparation, a summer kind of period until we get to the new season again. But thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak soon. Thanks.
Yeah. Cheers.